Hey, it's Deborah. All right, maybe you are just done. Like you can't even do this anymore. I get it. I'm there. All right. I want to share a tool that has worked for me. I've used this for years. I teach this to a lot of the teens that I work with. It's evidence-based. It's based on a technique called TAT, Tapas Acupressure Technique. What it does is move kind of your thoughts from being really triggered and kind of hanging out in your amygdala, where your fight or flight response is, to your frontal lobe, which is where you're doing your more, intentional, logical thinking. And the trigger and that emotional reactivity and that like edginess, like jumping out of your skin feeling, will decrease significantly. Trust me. So let's try it. I always start by rating my discomfort or my just distress on a scale from 1 to 10. And that way I can really get a sense of how much it's moved. Okay, so let's say we're starting and let's say I'm dealing with, it could be anything causing you distress, absolutely anything at all. Let's say it's right now, it's the quarantine, right? I'm filming this during the coronavirus quarantine and you are just losing your mind. Like you have had enough, all right? And you're just doing it on this like antsy feeling, like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Okay, let's say that feeling is like an 8 or 9, right? On a scale from 1 to 10, if 10 is the most extreme and 1 is like, no big deal, okay? Here's how the R.E.S.T technique works. You've got one hand that you're placing across your forehead, like this, okay? The other hand is going across the back of your head, kind of at the base of your skull. I'll show you, I'm gonna turn around here. I don't know if you guys can see where I'm putting my hand. It's kind of like my thumb is at the bottom of where my hairline, ends, okay? So this is kind of where I am right now, okay? And you're gonna put your attention on 4 parts. It's called R.E.S.T because that's the acronym. And again, it's an adaptation of mine from the original TAT, which has been studied extensively by Kaiser for all sorts of things. This is just an easier, shorter version, I find. So in this pose, and by the way, you might wanna lean back against something in case your arms get tired. Feel free to switch your arms in the middle, okay? 4 steps. The R.E.S.T stands for revisit, exit, scan, and transform. So take a deep breath, settle in, and first you're gonna start with your R, your revisit. So revisit anything relating to this issue that's causing you stress, and revisit in the pose, like I'm doing now. And what I usually visualize is a giant bowl in my mind, and you're kind of walking around in your mind, in your imagination, picking up any part of this that you can think of. So maybe it's just that feeling that you have and your heart is like palpitating, right? Palpitating, I think is the word I want. Maybe it's something someone said to you that just got you furious and there's nowhere to go. Like your mom just yelled at you and you still have to share a house. All right, I'm gonna put my arms down right now, you guys, because my arm's getting tired while I'm talking. But keep the pose going when you do this for yourself, okay? It won't take as long because I won't be babbling, okay? So R, in the R step, you're revisiting. You're kind of going through all the stuff relating to this. Again, anything someone said to you, anything that made you upset, that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Any place you're storing it in your body, like really if you're feeling like, oh my God, my heart feels like it's really tight, anything relating to this, you're kind of imagining yourself walking around your brain, your body, just picking up all the pieces of any memory, smell, sound, feeling, right, related to this event, sticking it in a giant bowl, revisiting the thing, okay? That's the R step. When you're done with that, and by the way, you'll know, people ask me, well, how do I know I'm ready to move to the next thing? You'll know, you'll just kind of be bored, your mind will wander, sometimes people will yawn, like you will know that your R step, your revisiting is done. All right, and next step is the E for the exit. So again, still in the pose, which will go quicker when I'm not talking at you, right? So in your pose again, you stuck in your pose for the revisit, now you're in the exit. In the exit pose, in the exit step rather, the key is that you're imagining either that all that stuff in the bowl, either you're exiting it or it's exiting you. So People have all sorts of clever visualizations for this. I will kind of wrap up my bowl in twine and then just imagine a giant pair of scissors, like cutting it and separating from it. I've worked with kids who love to imagine pushing it off a cliff and just hearing it clunk at the bottom. I've had kids want to wrap it up, send it up with balloons, and it just kind of goes up. You name it. It doesn't matter. Just visualize in some way that you are now separate from that stuff, okay? Super important. If you find yourself having what we call, stopping thoughts, like, this is never gonna work. Like, this is stupid. I'm imagining all the stuff, but this is a recurring situation and I'm just gonna be just as stressed. Okay, own it. You're allowed to have doubts. You're allowed to think, okay, I'm gonna go back to this quarantine tomorrow and it's still gonna suck. Yes, take all those stopper thoughts and stick them in your bowl. Like, that's okay. Stick them in your bowl, and basically what this process is gonna give you is relief from any stress that's up till now, and anything that you have, any part of it that you have that can be relieved. So yeah, there might be certain aspects of it that are still there in the morning, but again, you're having the intention to kind of relieve whatever you can. And anytime you have a thought like, well, this isn't gonna work, or this is ridiculous, just stick it in the bowl, your original bowl, okay? Fine, so that's your exit step. When you're done visualizing the exit, next, again, still in your pose, okay? You're going your scan step. That's the S in the rest. In the scan step, it's like a tongue twister. In the scan step, you're kind of going through your body, scanning for any place where you've stored this stuff. So yeah, maybe we did it a little bit in that revisit step where I kind of alluded to, like, maybe your heart feels really tight because you're kind of storing it there. This S scan step is where you really do this. We hold a lot of stuff in our bodies. We don't realize often how much we're holding. And so when you tune in and you scan your body, so I visualize, again, in the pose, I visualize a white light coming down, kind of this like beautiful white foggy sort of light coming down from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. And it starts at my feet. And at my feet, I start just clearing out all the way up and focusing on any place in my body where I've stored this stuff. A lot of times I'll find that my stomach's really tight. I'm holding stuff in there. A lot of times we'll hold stuff in our throat or neck, especially if it's something that we wish we would have said, or something that we're holding back from saying. Shoulders. I have a lot of students I work with who are like, oh my God, it's all in my shoulders. Like, I'm holding it all here, or maybe it's in my jaw, right? So this is a time to just have the intention to just check in with your body, see where you're holding the stress around this particular issue, and imagine yourself clearing it out. Okay, it's super, super powerful and really relaxing too. That's the S step, scan. Again, in your pose, okay? Last is the T for the rest, and that's the transform step. In the transform step, you really place your attention on what you'd like instead, okay? So let's say you're focusing on this quarantine situation and how it's incredibly miserable, and you're like, I can't, right? Focus on what you'd like instead. And yeah, you'd probably want to be free and go hang out with your friends, right? And watch The Bachelor together. I get it. It might be, you can imagine that, right? It could also be that you just visualize that in this state right now, you have calm and you feel good, and you focus on the things that, make you feel good. And, whatever it is, you're just going to focus on what will feel good instead, and what you really, really, really want to be true for you. And again, as you find, if there's stopper thoughts of like, well, I don't really want this to be fixed, or this is really not going to work, or when I wake up tomorrow, this is still going to be a problem, you can kind of gently take those thoughts, stick them in your bowl, right? And do a little mini version of just imagining yourself clearing it out, exiting, right? And saying, okay, like, I'm going to have the intention to clear the stress out of this as much as I can. And again, sitting with a transform step of something that actually feels realistic to you. As an example, I've done this with students who are super, super stressed because they have an AP coming up and they're super stressed that they're going to vomit. And sometimes actually, I've done the transform step with them and they say, they go from they're transforming being about they really want to walk in and get a 5 to realizing that what they actually really want is to feel good no matter what and know that no matter what they did their best and that they're worthy and valuable no matter what. Right? You see the difference? So sometimes, that transform step might not be what you expect, but it's something that leaves you with a reality that feels calm and good and reasonable for you. So again, sit with that in the pose. And then, whenever you're done, just put your hands down and then take a few deep breaths. I'm like relaxed just thinking about it. I love this technique so much. And then just take an inventory of how you're doing. So go back to that scale from 1 to 10. And often something that was like an 8, 9, 10, like pretty high on your scale will reduce to like a 2 or 3, sometimes even a 0. So sit with it a little bit. Sometimes, new stuff will come up. You realize, okay, that's not bothering me as much anymore, but this other thing is, or this other aspect is that I didn't put in my bowl, and then do it again. This is a technique I do every night before I go to bed. So I'll take anything disturbing about my day, any like upsetting interaction I've had, anything like that, stick it in the bowl, do the R.E.S.T technique on the bowl. So hope it's helpful. Good luck to everybody as we kind of get through this. Thanks for watching. Bye.